Hello there. Welcome to my website today. I wanted to comment a little bit about book editing and how you write a book. I get a lot of inquiries about the books I publish, and I want to tell you a little bit about them. You might have a book in you. You might decide, hey, I want to write the great American novel, #1, or it could be just a family journal, something you want to share with members of your family and have a remembrance of things you've done in your life. So for a variety of reasons, people like to write books. Everybody wants to write a book. It's a question of your motivation to sit down and doing it. I wrote a book back in 2005 about some of my experiences in Louisiana politics. It's called Justice Denied because of a run-in I had with the federal government. Here's my book right here, sold about 25,000 books. And it's been the beginning because I said, hey, rather than giving all this money to a publisher, I'm going to publish it myself. And that's why I formed my own publishing company. The company's called the Lisburn Press, Lisburn. That name came from a plantation that I had lived in and owned up in North Louisiana. I love the name, the Lisburn Press, and so I kept it, and that's the title of our publishing company. I've done about 20 books, do several a year for friends or folks that want to get their book into print. So let me tell you how it's done. I'm contacted 2 or 3 times a week by various people who say they have a book underway, or maybe they have one finished. And so what we do is offer services to get the book ready to be printed. First of all, when the manuscript is completed, we sit down and talk about it. If the author is serious and can afford to get the book published, either with the help of friends or some other means, then we work with them. First thing we do is get it edited. Give it to an editor who specializes in reading over books, making corrections. First-time authors make a lot of mistakes. I don't care how many times you read over your book, there will be punctuation marks, spacing, a variety of just basic problems. Then there's also content to where new authors use adverbs a great deal. We cut out a lot of adverbs. Also, first-time authors or newer authors will maybe mix up thought content. They'll take a sentence that has a stronger thought and a less strong thought. They'll put the less strong thought first and the better, stronger thought at the end. We reverse that kind of thing. And editors are good at doing this, and I think every book needs to be edited. I work with several editors here, some in Baton Rouge, as far away in New York, depending on what the content of the book is, what we're trying to accomplish, how thorough we want to edit it, how much the author wants to be involved. And so that's something we undertake and get the whole book edited. All right, now it's ready to be formatted. Formatting is a process. We have a formatter. I work with several formatters here in the Baton Rouge area who take the book. I send them the book, and they work on the margins. The margins are nice and even if you look at a well-crafted book. It has the title usually in the upper left-hand corner, maybe the chapter heading in the upper right-hand corner. Page numbers, it looks clean, it looks good on the page. So we get it formatted. Then the cover comes into play. I think covers are very important. I think covers tell a story and entice readers to pick up the book. I mentioned, let me give you a couple of books. Here's a book, a chilling crime story, Familiar Evil, by my good friend Ronna Gray. This book has won 10 awards. It's true crime fiction. It's a chilling book about a true story that happened here in our area where a newscaster was found out to be a pedophile. It tells a story of how he was discovered. He committed suicide, went into a major investigation, there was activity on his part over in England. So the author, Ronna Gray, went to England. The book is very popular over in England right now, too, but a huge bestseller here. It's called Familiar Evil. And I like that cover. You see, it's black and white and the covers of the devil, if you will. And so you know you're not reading a happy book when you read something like this. It sells very well at Christmas. Heck of a note that a child pedophile who's committed suicide is a big Christmas book. But here's a book that was very popular. Edwin Edwards, the governor of Louisiana, a fellow that was in jail at the time the book was published. Very popular governor today, notorious governor, used a number of phrases. And the group behind him said, listen, Jim, we want to tell a story about Governor Edwards. We don't think his story has been adequately told in balance. He's in jail now, and that's the focus that most people know, but did a lot of good things for the state. We want the book to be told. I hired the author on this book, Leo Honeycutt, who's done a number of books for me now, very popular author in Louisiana. Hired Leo after interviewing a number of other publishers. Leo wrote the book, got it published, got it edited, got the whole process done. But the book cover is very important. Edwards is a controversial fella, but we want to tell the story in a firm way. And you notice it just says Edwin Edwards, the governor. And it tells that story on the back of his inaugural ball, lots of quotes from various folks. We've won some awards for this cover. So I think the cover is very important. Here's a book about my father-in-law. There's no business like show business. My father-in-law, who unfortunately has passed away, at one point owned a number of movie theaters throughout the South, one of the largest movie theater owners in the country. And it's his life story about meeting so many movie stars. And we have their pictures all through the book. And I think that cover tells that story. So I think the cover is very, very important, because a reader picks up the cover and then they go to the inside and look on the back cover and, hey, I think I'll read this book. The latest book, one of our latest pioneers of the piney woods. This is a book about the Hunt Lumber Company up in North Louisiana, a huge lumber operation in the South. You notice it gives the feel of the woods, logging, and it's green, and we think the cover tells a good story for people who might be interested in something like that. So all these books have a story to tell, and we tell them so much with the cover and working with the authors. Once we get the cover design, then we're ready to publish. We've got it formatted, we have it edited, we have a good cover design. I've worked with publishers throughout the world, quite frankly. We work very closely with a publishing company called Friensons on the Minnesota Canadian border, and they do a first-rate job. They've done a number of books for us. So we'll shop around, get the best price, and then talk about numbers. How many books does the publisher want to, rather does the writer want to get published? I mentioned a book. I've got maybe some memoirs. I've got several books where people have written just a memoir about their lives. And maybe they want 100 copies published. We can do something like that. Up to the Edwin Edwards book, which is the biggest best-selling book in the history of Louisiana, well over 100,000 copies sold of this book. So depending on what we think the book will do, we come together with the author in terms of a number. I've got a very popular group of short stories, fiction, being written now by an author up in Kentucky called Bill Weinberg. And Bill's got some great people who are raving about the stories. We think it'll do very well. It'll have more of a national market. So we'll publish more of those and maybe a local regional book. It just depends on what the author wants, how we finance the project. We set it all out with that author. So that's kind of the process of our books. Again, if you want to see all the books I've published so far, you can go on our website at thelisburnpress.com, Lisburn. It's on the left margin of my website. If you haven't, and if you want to contact us, the contact information is there. I'll be glad to work with you and tell you about our process, how we do it all. Maybe you have a book in you. You might have the Great American Novel, or you may have something that is just a family journal that you want to keep for posterity so that your family can know about all the things you did in your life. For whatever reason, we can help you, let us know. Glad you're spending time on our site. Hope you're enjoying the holiday season, which we like very much here at the Lisburn Press. And with the Jim Brown Radio Show, we'll talk a lot about that this weekend. Take care. We'll see you next week.